Welcome. Today we're stepping away from fiction. We're going to recount some true stories, experiences shared by people who encountered something, well, something deeply unsettling. These aren't just tales, they're real events that left lasting marks. We want to share these accounts to explore the different kinds of fear people face, the mysteries hiding just under the surface.
Exactly. And what you often find in these personal stories, however different they seem, is they tap into some really universal fears. They touch on the anxieties and unknowns that many of us feel.
Okay, let's start with stories about human threats. Situations where trust is betrayed, sometimes turning terrifyingly personal. Like this first account about a college freshman, just 17. First semester, she meets this guy, Asher, on Tinder. Described him as, socially awkward. She felt a bit sorry for him, understood anxiety, so she kind of overlooked some early, maybe warning signs.
And that sympathy, that initial empathy, it can unfortunately be something perpetrators exploit. It sometimes masks those early red flags.
It seems like it did here. Asher seemed okay at first, texting a lot, wanting to know everything about her almost immediately. She wasn't comfortable sharing too much, kept it basic. But things changed fast. When she tried to create some distance, he just exploded. Said these really aggressive, nasty texts, called her horrible, said she needed to be put in her place.
That's a very common switch, isn't it? The nice guy persona flipping to aggression the moment a boundary is enforced.
Totally. And then, just as fast as the anger, came the apologies. Over-the-top remorse, declarations of love, saying he couldn't be alone, she was his only friend. All of it. It's a cycle, right? Meant to make her feel guilty.
Yes, a manipulative cycle. And online interactions, they can amplify this. It's easier to gather info, escalate obsession without the normal social checks you might have face-to-face.
And he took it way too far. He texted her saying he was outside her dorm room. Now, they didn't live in the same building. You needed a key card or someone had to let you in. Luckily, she wasn't actually there. Her roommate was out, so the door might have been accessible somehow. She told him to leave, that it was creepy, totally wrong. And that's when it got really chilling. He sent her screenshots, his contact entry for her on his phone. It wasn't just her name and number, it had notes, her home address, her campus room number, her parents' names, her brothers' names, everything. He'd actively searched for and compiled all this private information.
Wow.
Baffling.
That's a profound violation. Going from awkward texts to having that level of detailed personal data, it immediately changes the threat level. It's calculated, it's stalking.
Absolutely terrifying. Now, let's shift from that kind of digital invasion to something physical in a very public space, a place many of us use every day. This story comes from a woman, maybe around 20, on the metro after a long workday. She sees a man in an electric wheelchair. His bags are kind of blocking the door, so she politely holds his bags forward so they don't get caught when the doors close. He smiles, thanks her, starts talking. Seems normal enough.
And public transport presents its own vulnerabilities. You're in a confined space, a set route. A simple, polite act can quickly become difficult to escape from if things turn sour.
Exactly. She was tired, but she took her earphones out, trying to be nice. He had a disability, his speech was a bit hard to understand, but he switched to English, started normal, where are you from, stuff like that. But then it shifted, really fast, really uncomfortable. You're beautiful. Are you getting off at X station? Kiss me. Do you have a boyfriend? No, she said no. Put her earphones back in, tried to ignore him. That's when he started using this loud buzzer on his chair, over and over. Everyone's looking.
Using the disability almost as a tool for harassment, drawing attention to force interaction.
Right. She felt so pressured, took her earphones out again. Finally, her stop comes. She says a quick goodbye. He rolls out right behind her. She tells him, hey, this isn't your stop. And he just says, really creepily, I'm coming home with you.
That's incredibly direct. The psychological impact of that, even if nothing physical happens yet, is immense. The overt threat, the public setting, it creates lasting anxiety.
She was totally freaked out. But she thought, okay, there are 2 floors underground. She can run up the stairs faster than he can get the elevator. She felt a bit bad ditching someone disabled. But she just sprinted, tripped a couple of times, got to the ground floor, walked outside, relieved, and he's gone. But then, walking to her car, she hears it. That buzz, he's behind her, zooming surprisingly fast in that chair. And now she's properly terrified, running, fumbling with her keys, gets in the car, throws it in reverse, looks in the mirror. He's parked right behind her, blocking her in, just buzzing.
Mindlessly. A standoff. That persistence is characteristic of stalking. The attempt to escape almost fuels their determination.
It lasted about 10 minutes. Him just sitting there buzzing, glowering. Then he finally rolled away. She peeled out of there, shaken, but thinking, hoping. It was over.
But that feeling of safety is often shattered long-term by encounters like this.
It wasn't over. The very next morning, she pulls into a different parking lot for work, gets out, heads to the metro platform, and he's there, waiting. She suddenly remembers telling him her work schedule the day before 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. He knew. He knew she'd be there at that time. He smiled when he saw her, started rolling toward her. She just turned and booked it back up the stairs. Called her boss, said she'd be late. Ended up driving into the city, paid a fortune for parking, just to avoid the metro, avoid him. She hasn't seen him since, uses a different station now, but says every time she sees a wheelchair, she still gets that jolt of panic.
It's a permanent altering of her sense of safety in public. A lasting psychological scar.
So we've touched on the horror that humans can inflict. But what about fear that seems to come from somewhere else? The unseen. This next account is about someone haunted by a black shadow figure, persistently, from childhood, across different homes.
Ah, yes. These kinds of experiences often get categorized under headings like recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis or RSPK poltergeist activity, essentially. What's often noted is the consistency across locations, the unexplained noises, moving objects, and sometimes, yes, animal reactions. There are theories linking it to subconscious distress in an individual present.
Well, this started when she was a child, in an apartment. She used to sneak out of bed, play in the living room with the lights off, just the light from the balcony door. One night, she sees this clear black silhouette on the balcony, right near the door handle. Terrified, she ran back to bed, shut her door. Her brother checked a moment later, saw nothing. But the door he left open, slammed shut, loudly, on its own. Their dad, a total skeptic, assumed they did it. But then another door in the living room slammed shut too. He investigated, found the balcony door unlocked, slightly open, even though they always locked it. For years there, she'd see the figure sometimes, hear doors slam, find couch pillows moved around. Dad always had a logical explanation.
Even those seemingly low-level, persistent events, especially when dismissed by authority figures like a parent, can create a deep sense of unease. It constantly undermines your sense of reality.
Eventually, the family moved. Dad remarried, a two-story house. New house, end of story. But it followed. Her stepmother, who actually believed in ghosts, found the dog's blanket one morning perfectly folded on the washing machine. Nobody had touched it, and the black figure started appearing again, often near open doorways. One night, doing homework, she heard her door creak open. She turned, saw it, directly, just standing there. Her heart just stopped. After maybe 10 seconds, the door slammed shut. So hard she screamed. Her stepmom put a rosary on the door handle after that, hoping it would help.
That escalation from fleeting glimpses to a direct, sustained sighting often increases the psychological burden significantly.
Yeah.
The feeling of being watched, the lack of escape, it takes a toll.
And it got worse. Every single day, like clockwork, between 6 p.m. and 3 a.m., she'd hear creaking from the ceiling. Mom and husband said house settling, but she and her brother knew it was too regular too. Weird. Then the dog started reacting. Her Rottweiler would growl at the wall by her bed. Then it would stop, sniff her, and sit down. Later, her Weimaraner started doing it too.
Animal reactions are frequently reported in these cases. They seem sensitive to things we aren't.
Her sleep was totally messed up. She finally broke down and told her stepmom everything after a picture frame hanging right above her bed suddenly flew off the wall, smashed on the floor. Her stepmom told her then, "Look, there is a spirit following you. It's getting more active, maybe more desperate." She tried to ignore doors closing, the dogs growling, even the cats acting strange. But it wouldn't stop.
The move from noises and sightings to actual physical manifestations like the picture frame, that's a common progression indicating an intensification of whatever phenomenon is occurring.
Dad moved them again. Brand new house this time. She told her stepmom her fears. Stepmom said, "Just let me know if anything happens." A few weeks. Peace. Then, muffled voices. Like people talking in another room, but no one was there. She'd stop, listen, check. Nothing. Her stepmom finally admitted she heard them too. Said they seemed to come from her walk-in closet. And sometimes she'd find boxes from the top shelf just sitting in the middle of the floor, like they'd just fallen but hadn't. And the narrator says, to this day, the figure, the door slamming, it still happens. Less often, maybe. But it persists across houses, across years.
That persistence across different locations really deepens the mystery. Is it tied to the location, or, as is sometimes theorized in RSPK cases, tied to the individual? It's profoundly unsettling either way.
From those unseen things, let's turn to something terrifyingly real. Primal. A story that really challenges our place in the natural world. This is from Dr. Benjamin Kelly, a primatology professor. He went on a research assignment to Tanzania. Expected science, discovery, found. Well, horror and death.
Yes. This account is a chilling reminder of the capacity for calculated extreme violence, even in intelligent non-human species. It shatters any romantic notions about nature and highlights the complex, sometimes dark, social dynamics involved.
Dr. Kelly and his team got to Gombe National Park. Beautiful place, amazing ecology. Felt like a dream assignment. They met the chimpanzees, including the alpha, Akinda. Akinda stood out. Steel gray hair, really muscular, scarred up, but his eyes, they were this fiery orange, really intense, unnerving. About a week in, things went bad. A chimp died unexpectedly, and Akinda seemed to somehow blame the researchers for it. The whole troop started acting differently, shying away, males getting aggressive. Akinda just watched them from a distance, glaring, his orange eyes locked on them as silent warning.
That shift in group behavior, apparently led by the alpha's perception of blame, is fascinating from an ethological standpoint. It shows how complex their social structures are, how quickly a leader's animosity can change everything, turn research into survival.
One morning, a guard runs into camp, tells them, "Come quick." They get there, the chimps are going wild, screeching, chaos. Akinda is circling a smaller male chimp, baring his teeth. And in the smaller chimp's hand, a piece of Dr. Kelly's cereal bar. They watched, horrified, as Akinda just crushed the smaller chimp's skull in his hand, blood, brain matter, seeping through his fingers. The other chimps screamed louder. Some looked distressed, but others, it looked like they were celebrating. Akinda then smashed his fists into the rest of the cereal bar, like attacking the symbol of the humans. Then he looked right at Dr. Kelly, orange eyes burning. Kelly said it felt like a silent command. Run.
That moment, the targeted violence seemingly linked to the human object, the cereal bar, and then the direct focus on the researchers. It suggests something beyond typical animal aggression. A form of reasoning, perhaps, however disturbing. It's deliberate.
And they ran. Akinda's followers chased them. The chimps were faster, more agile in the jungle. They were gaining. Kelly was with 3 others. One was a heavier researcher from Boston. He said he'll never forget the screams. The chimps swarmed him, snapped his fingers like twigs, pulled at them until they were just stumps. One started gouging his eyes out. Then another grabbed his jaw, ripped it clean off his skull. His screams turned choked, then stopped as he drowned in his own blood. The last thing Kelly saw before they forced themselves to run again was a chimp ripping the man's pants open, grabbing his genitals and just pulling, tearing. They were eating him.
Sheer brutality. It's almost ritualistic. It speaks to a level of vengeful aggression that's hard to comprehend, even in the animal kingdom. It's a stark reminder of our own vulnerability when faced with that kind of raw, intelligent savagery.
They ran past their camp, didn't stop, just sprinted for the beach for the boat, their only escape. As they broke through the trees, Akinda was already on the boat, muzzle stained red with blood. Orange eyes, Kelly said, burning with this chilling, violent glee. He threw a piece of flesh he'd been eating onto the deck, screeched like a victor. Kelly just froze, thought he was dead. Then, suddenly, a black blur hit Akinda. It was Farida, a young female chimp they knew, usually gentle. Now she was screeching, fighting Akinda, holding him back for just a moment, a diversion. Kelly said she looked at him and it felt like she was saying, "Run, go now."
That act from Farida, it's remarkable. Apparent altruism, self-sacrifice in the midst of such horror. It shows the complexity, doesn't it? Extreme violence and unexpected courage existing side by side within the same species.
They scrambled for the boat. Kelly struggled to push it off the shore. He heard Akinda's roar, almost drowning out Farida's screams as Akinda overpowered her. As the boat finally floated free, he pulled himself in, looked back one last time. Akinda stood over Farida's broken body. She turned her head. Kelly swore they made eye contact. He whispered, "Thank you." And then Akinda brought his fist down on her head. Crushing force ended her life. Kelly couldn't watch anymore. He needed 3 months off, intense therapy. Says even now, seeing a chimpanzee makes him break out in the cold sweat. Says if it weren't for Farida's sacrifice, he might never be able to look at one again.
A truly harrowing experience. It leaves you contemplating that thin, often invisible line between the natural world we study and something truly horrific.
For our final story tonight, we move into a realm of pure human darkness, deception, entrapment, control. It's a nightmare that leads a deep sense of unease. This happened to a 19-year-old guy. Sheltered childhood, then went a bit wild, experimenting with drugs, living recklessly.
And this kind of story is deeply disturbing because it starts so normally. Offering a ride, offering food. It shows how fragile safety can be, how quickly things can turn when you encounter someone with, well, severe personality issues or delusions.
It was early morning, foggy, humid August. He and 2 friends, Dave and Ray, had been up all night tripping on mushrooms, just driving around aimlessly. They see this woman, Cassandra, on the side of a sketchy road. She's wearing a huge, 8-inch cross necklace. They offer her a ride. She invites them back to her house for food, says she has something goody for them.
That immediate contrast, the large religious symbol and the strange circumstances, the sketchy road,
Yeah.
it creates dissonance, a warning sign that might be missed, especially if your judgment is already altered.
Her house was weird inside, like an old, dusty, creepy 1970s movie set. Really quiet. And Cassandra herself, she just stared. Unblinking. Made them uncomfortable. She brings out this unlabeled bottle of wine, pours them glasses, keeps refilling them without asking. But they notice she isn't drinking any herself. Then she brings out this pan of mac and cheese, looks amazing. They start eating. Halfway through, the narrator feels this numbness spreading through his body. He figures it's the wine. Lack of sleep, maybe.
That's the insidious part, isn't it? Using hospitality food, drink as the delivery method. The gradual onset of symptoms, easily dismissed at first. It's classic manipulation, gaslighting even, making you doubt your own senses.
Just then, a car pulls up. Cassandra's mother. She gets out, stares hard at their car in the driveway. He quickly drinks the rest of his wine, asks for more. Cassandra gets this weird, knowing smile, pours him another. As she's pouring, the mother bursts through the door, furious. What is going on? Snatches the wine glasses, smashes them in the sink, screams at Cassandra, I told you never give anyone that wine. Then the mother and daughter start fighting, violently arguing. They overhear bits. We just got away with it, Trigger, you crazy.
The mother's reaction instantly reveals the truth. The drugged wine, the panic, the fragments of conversation. It shifts from awkward to terrifyingly clear. They're trapped. It suggests the pattern, maybe even a shared delusion between them.
He and his friends realize they're paralyzed, or mostly. He's bigger, feels numb, but can still move, like heavy limbs falling asleep. His friend Dave can sort of get up too, but Ray, completely immobile, the horror sinks in. This is real. They grab Ray, trying to drag him off the stool. Mother-daughter hear the noise, stop yelling. Cassandra flies down the stairs, blocks the front door, screaming, you fools! Once you came in, you were never gonna leave. This is God's plan.
That declaration, God's plan, it adds another layer of horror. That twisted justification, that delusional conviction makes the threat even more unpredictable and frightening. It's detached from normal human reasoning.
He gets this last surge of adrenaline, drops Ray, charges Cassandra, slams her against the doorframe, yells at Dave, get Ray to the car. He's grappling with Cassandra. She's shrieking, clawing at him. Her mom's yelling, Cassandra, just let them go. But Cassandra looks right at him, eyes fixed, and says, no, I want him. The others can leave. He feels himself getting pulled back inside. Pure instinct kicks in. He sees this black globe paperweight on a shelf, grabs it, and hits her over the head. He said blood just fountained out. She looks stunned, blood in her teeth, mumbled, this was God's will. He yelled back, no, you're just frickin' nuts. And she collapsed. He somehow got himself and his friends into the car, drove until they finally recognized where they were, the nightmare slowly becoming a terrifying memory.
The violence of the escape underscores the extreme danger they were in her final words. Still clinging to that delusion even after being attacked. It shows a complete disconnect from reality, a truly chilling lack of empathy. It's a glimpse into profound human darkness.
Later, they're at their usual hangout spot. Another friend, Sean, shows up. They tell him the story, mention Cassandra's name. Sean's face just goes pale, nervous. Turns out, Sean used to live next door to her, he tells them. Cassandra mutilated his cat, poisoned his dog. When she was 12, she tried to sexually assault him. He had to hit her with his dad's shotgun to get away. Sean confirms it, absolutely. Cassandra was, and likely still is, profoundly, dangerously insane.
That confirmation afterwards, it just solidifies the horror. It wasn't just a bad drug trip or a weird encounter. They genuinely stumbled into the path of someone deeply disturbed and dangerous. It shows how monsters can be terrifyingly human, hiding in plain sight.
And that brings us to the end of these accounts. We've shared these true stories tonight, exploring these chilling moments where the ordinary world just breaks. These aren't just spooky tales. They're real experiences from real people, confronting the terrifying, the inexplicable, the deeply unsettling parts of life. They remind us that unsettling realities, both human and maybe something else, exist just beyond our normal view.
And whether the root is psychological, perhaps touching on the paranormal, or revealing the brutal side of the natural world, these encounters force us to question what we think we know. They remind us of our vulnerability, perhaps urge us to be a little more aware of the shadows.
Thank you for listening, for engaging with these unsettling narratives and the questions they raise. If these stories grip you, or maybe you have your own experiences you feel shed light on these things, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, and maybe share this recounting with a friend who appreciates these explorations into the unknown. Take care.